What do we got going on in Hidden Gem this week?
All right, Hidden Gem this week. No fanfare. This is a person that kind of pulled out. So X-Men was one of my favorite comics, and the X-Men were like the gateway drug for all the other Marvel characters for me when I was growing up. In other words, they introduced me to a bunch of other different characters, individual characters, groups like Alpha Flight, monsters, beasts, aliens. X-Men were all over the place. So that's why I'm hoping that they'll do something with the X-Men like they did with the Avengers, right? So this character bubbled up. We always talk about superheroes, supervillains, people with superpowers, maniacal, all these other kind of things, aliens, beasts. We did a Hidden Gem on Gotham City itself.
Yep.
So this is about a regular guy. But he's important, which is why he's a hidden gem. This is Christopher Summers, and Chris is the father of what we know as Havoc, Cyclops, and Vulcan. But Chris has had a pretty rough life. I mean, tragic, right? So basically, he's flying around. He's a pilot. He's flying around with his family, his wife Catherine, his son, his then two sons, Scott and Alex, right? Cyclops and Havoc later.
Yeah.
They get attacked by an alien race, the Shi'ar race. Basically, I guess they're harvesting humans at this point, right?
For whatever reason, Shi'ar, bro.
It's always them.
Yep.
And so Catherine, she pushes Scott and Alex out with the only parachute in the plane. I don't know why you got 4 people, but there's only one parachute in the plane, right?
The Titanic thought process.
Exactly. So you got one airplane. She strapped both of the boys into it and pushed them out the door, right?
Yeah.
So Chris and Catherine gets captured by the Shi'ar, right? And taken onto this scout ship. Catherine gets pulled into the ruler. What's his name? The Ken gets pulled in his harem. So basically, he's raping her and all this other kind of stuff, right? And at some point, so Chris and Catherine didn't know that Catherine was pregnant at the time with their third son.
Okay.
Who becomes Vulcan, this other superpowered mutant, right?
Yeah.
But the Ken knew, and right in front of Chris, he rips the baby out of Catherine's body.
Holy
right?
shit.
Killing her.
Yeah.
And then imprisoning Chris. So he's sentenced to work these mines for the rest of his life, right?
Yeah.
Now, what the Ken does do, and they didn't know about, was that he took the embryo and he kept it. And he incubated it to adulthood, basically, which then became Vulcan, and then he sold the child into slavery.
Wow.
So a lot of stuff going on.
And that's this dude, Deken.
Yep.
Dude, he's like, he's up there with High Evolutionary. They must be boys.
High Evolutionary.
I mean, High Evolutionary, a little work, but
yeah. But this guy was like, Deken was the ruler of the Shi'ar Empire at the time.
Okay.
And he was like Deken the Mad or something like that. Yeah. So he did a bunch of atrocious things like that.
Yeah,
ripping babies out of people's bodies and stuff.
Jesus.
So eventually, Chris escaped, and with 3 or 4 other people from the mine, right? And they became not people, but people in the sense of humans, but other beings, right? From the mines, and they stole this starship called the Starjammer. They became the Starjammers, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe, like a pirate version. Okay. Because Chris adopted the pirate mentality from Earth, right? Yeah. And they would go around and hijack Shi'ar ships and stuff throughout space.
Gotcha.
So, really cool storyline with them. They were out. The X-Men went into space for whatever reason. They ended up connecting. Phoenix Jean Grey figured out telepathically that Chris was Scott's father. He made her promise not to tell Scott about it.
Yeah.
Storm also found out later that Chris was Scott's father, right?
Yeah.
So all these little secret things going around for years. Eventually, Chris crash landed on Earth again, of course, near the Xavier mansion.
Yeah.
Scott found a picture of them, right? And he explained to them that, hey, I thought you guys were dead.
Yeah.
In other words, Chris thought the boys, when they got pushed out the plane, didn't survive.
Got it.
So he thought that they were dead. His wife had already been killed right in front of him. So he had basically no reason to go back to Earth.
Yeah.
Right. So eventually they did that little family reunion. Chris introduced the boys to their grandparents. Scott apparently got married. Marlene on Starjammer. Yeah. So it was like a whole big hoorah family thing. Ultimately, they went out. Vulcan, now an adult, his mutant powers, came out, and he waged war on the Shi'ar Empire.
Okay.
So the Starjammers accompanied the X-Men to go and stop him.
Yeah. And
Vulcan, not really knowing or caring who this dude was, declared that he didn't have a father and just took him out in cold blood. Chris out in cold blood.
Oh, so Vulcan killed Corsair.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. So, he just had like this whole tragic life, getting attacked, thought he lost his only 2 sons, wife raped by an alien dictator, a baby that he didn't even know that he had, was ripped out of his wife. She's dead. He's in prison. Now he's going around running from what they call the law then, right? Mm-hmm. This empire, because he's attacking and raiding all these Shi'ar ships, crash lands on Earth, just a whole bunch of tragic stuff, then to be ultimately killed by his own son, right? Damn. So, but the importance of this character is the relationships and what he fostered. He and his wife fostered 3 of the more powerful mutants in the X-Men and in Marvel Comics. Havoc, Vulcan, and Cyclops. Right. So that's why he has no powers. He's just a regular guy.
So he's not a mutant himself.
No, he's not a mutant himself.
Wow.
Nor was his wife.
Yeah.
So this gene, apparently them 2 together paired 3 times. Because typically, you'll have like, one of your 3 kids or 2 of your 3 kids would have some kind of superpower, right? Right. Not all of them, but in this case, all of them did, right? Yeah. So there was nothing special about him. He picked up some weaponry along the way from the Shi'ar Empire. He's trained in military operations. Obviously, he knows how to take care of himself. Physical combats, things like that, because he's robbing these other ships and stuff. Right. So outside of that, he's just a normal dude. But he's also the father of, like I said, 3 of the more powerful mutants in the Marvel universe, and that's why he's the hidden gem. And that's why sometimes we also like Sonya, the operative, the MI5 or MI4 operative from London. Yep. I like to bring out these non-powered characters, right? Because they play an essential role too. Right. Just like Gordon, just like Alfred. Yeah. These people play important roles in comic books as well as the superpower ones. Mm-hmm. So Christopher Summers, this week's hidden gem.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I've always liked Corsair.
Yeah.
He's reminded me, like, he gives me Han Solo vibes. Yep. Obviously with being a space pirate, sure. Pretty much. And I forgot that he wasn't a mutant though. Yeah. But he has no powers. He has his little blaster, just like just like Han Solo. But this, when you've had Havoc as a hidden gem in the past. Yep. Right. And when I hear about Corsair, Cyclops, this whole story, you could start this new X-Men phase in the MCU, and Cyclops could be the cornerstone with all of these stories. Right. You could start on Earth and eventually lead to meeting Corsair. You could do exactly what they did with the Avengers, where they started pretty grounded, and then eventually they meet the Guardians, right? And now we're all over the cosmos. You could do the same thing with Cyclops as your cornerstone, start grounded, and then learn all this stuff later. And I think they could write some amazing stories from just this content they have.
Absolutely. There. So you know what's going to happen next, right?
Yep.
Watch the news.
Yeah, Corsair series for Disney Plus coming in 2028. But dude, it'd be a great story, and that would be, and I always say that, Cyclops is kind of, he's not my favorite character.
Right.
But I feel like there's so much substance there that if written right, he could be everyone's favorite character.
Right.
Like this, right. He's got a great background.
Yeah. That whole family line, the fact that he and his brother cancels each other's powers out.
Yeah.
Like if they went fully open on their powers against each other, it would just do nothing to either one of them.
Right.
Because their bodies cancel. It's like they're opposite frequencies or something like that. So that's crazy. But yeah, I agree with you, dude. I mean, you could do a whole Avengers kind of thing with that, and that would be pretty interesting. And then have the father in there with no powers at all.
Right.
I think that'd be great, dude.
Yeah. No, dude, that would be awesome. These Cyclops and Havoc, we've seen them in live action.
Yep.
But I don't think we've ever seen them together in live action. Because Cyclops was in all the original X-Men movies, but Havoc was in the whole First Class line, right? And did you like that kid's portrayal of Havoc?
Absolutely not. That whole gyrating, that crap that he had to do in order to oh, my
That's
God.
Right.
It's like, dude, what was the point of that? What's the point of that? It's like, when a magician, if you're a magician or if you have some kind of power, why do you have to motion at all to wield your power? Why do you have to wink your eyes and you twitch your nose and
winding it up?
Exactly. Why do you have to do any of that in order to release your power? Just release your power.
Yeah.
But that gyrating was like Thor's split in Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
That's how crazy that was.
It was. Outside of that, what'd you think of just the way he portrayed Havoc in general?
No, didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
I didn't like the character, the actor who played the character. It's not that I have anything against the person.
Sure.
But it was wrong casting.
Got it.
And I didn't like the way the character was portrayed.
Yeah.
So I didn't like anything about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I hated it, but to me it was very not Havoc from the comics.
Exactly.
It was, and that's what I didn't like about it. And I thought it was weird too, with no Cyclops, no mention of him there. Like I don't like when they omit just like obvious basic shit like that. That's like, Superman with no Lois Lane.
Exactly.
Like why is there no mention of his brother and why?
Or no Martha.
Yeah. You said that name. Why'd you say that name? We had to stop the show. You said Martha. Oh, my God. I can't do it. Trying to traumatize me, Adrian. But there you have it. Corsair, another great hidden gem, Adrian. Now, you got off the DC train for a minute. Well, you were searching. That's why you were in the multiverse. That's why you were remote.
That's right.
You were looking for DC hidden. You had to leave to look for DC hidden gems.
Exactly.
And then you came back. And the hidden gem was Gotham City because you're like, this is better than all these characters.
Exactly.
But we're back on the Marvel train here. So, well, there you have it, Corsair. If you like that, check out the rest of the hidden gem playlist. Next, Adrian, we have a fun segment here that we like to call